Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSI DFS Fantasy NFL Picks. I'm Mr. Megaroar31. Got week 6 for you, another London game. So make sure if you're playing season long and your slate's lock or your contest lock at the first game of the day, it's a 9:30 game, Denver and the Jets there. It looks like it's going to be a little bit rainy there. And we got a 10 game slate here for DFS. Starting at 1 o'clock back in America. And we do have to watch a little bit of the weather because we do have that nor'easter coming up the East Coast, and it could be pounding like the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic with rain. So have to keep an eye on and wind too. So Panthers looks like about 50% chance of rain all day. 16 mile per hour winds. Baltimore I think is gonna be the worst. 60 to 70% chance of rain. 18 to 20 mile per hour winds with gusts up to like 40 miles per hour. The rest of the games seem to be like they should be in decent shape. So let's jump into it and go game by game. So the first game, Dallas at Carolina. Again, weather minor concern, but this is probably a top game on the slate here. 48.5 total, close spread of three. Cowboys are favored. CD Lamb is out again, so Pickens definitely be a top receiver here. Dak Prescott, Javante Williams, is super solid. Sanders went down, so Jaden Blue really hasn't done much, but I know in season long he's one of the highest on Yahoo transaction trends picked up running back. So I don't know if they're hoping of have him as a handcuff or he's just there as someone that they think might have DFS relevance. So there's a dunk for you potentially. Uh, without having Lamb there, Tolbert definitely can step up, and Ferguson's a strong target. So a lot of good things on the Cowboys. They can definitely run it back with Carolina here. Young, I think, is a great GPP candidate. He's only 4.8, 16, 18 DraftKings points, maybe up to 20. Dowdle is back as Trouble Hubbard is out again. So there's another cheap RB1 for you. McMillan is a great one to pair with Bryce. Legat's out there also. So, but I don't really see him getting to 10 DK points. He's only 3.9. And then the tight ends like Tremble was good last week and a hot pick, but um, Jatavian Sanders should be back, but I don't see him getting more than 5 or 6. So I think Carolina's pretty limited with run backs. I think it's like Young and McMillan, if anything, and Dowdle definitely. But there's a lot of good pieces from this game. Uh, Both defenses, I wouldn't really touch here. Seattle and Jacksonville. Jacksonville put together a great game on Monday night and upset Kansas City. So everything's finally pointing in the right direction for them. We'll see. Both quarterbacks, I think, are in play here. I think I like Lawrence better. I think he's got the more upside to get over 20 DK points than Darnold, but neither defense is like super scary. So starting on Seattle's side, Jacksonville's been a pass funnel. They've been decent against the run. You got a mud puddle here with Walker and Charbonnet. So I think both of them might be able to get to 12, but I think they eat into each other and will be super low owned just because you don't know like who's going to get the ball and who's going to get the goal line carry. So you don't really want to touch that. The Jigba, I mean, you can play in all formats, 20 to 25 DK points, definitely there. Pup's still lingering around. I think he's good for about a dozen. So at 4.6, that's pretty fair. Barner tight end is someone that probably be under the radar too at 3.6. Uh, Maybe get you like 6 to 8 points. So I don't think he quite gets to 10, but if you're doing a stack, I think he works there. On the Jacksonville side, again, like Lawrence, like a little bit better than Darnold in this matchup. ETN's fine. I thought that Tootin and some of the other ones would be eating into his time, but he seems to be the bell cow back and getting the carries and making the most of them and not having some of the issues they as previously. So he's definitely playing there relatively cheap at 5.9. Uh, Brian Thomas Jr. has been very disappointing for me season long, but I think in this matchup here against Seattle, they've been kind of a pass funnel. They're in orange because it's not they're trending that way. They haven't like I don't really feel like they've been confirmed as much statistically as the ones in white. But Parker Washington's out there, Travis Hunter. I just think like the focus of like offense and defense is kind of hurting a little bit, but I think he could possibly get to 10 at 4-7, so that's not bad. And then I really like Hunter Long with Strange going out with the injury and is on IL. He's one that I was kind of high on going into the season, and I drafted for season long, and I think Long comes in at 2.5 and has a chance to get you anywhere from 6 to maybe 8, maybe up to 10 DK points if he catches a touchdown. So definitely someone, if you're playing Lawrence and want to stack a tight end with him, that's definitely in play. Arizona and the Colts. Colts have an amazing season here. Arizona, it's almost like they bet on their opponent last week. Like they had the most ridiculous interception fumble for the opponent to get a touchdown, and then you had DeMarcado like not completely. What was it? Who was the wide receiver from Philly that did it? Originally was the one that was like running and dropped the ball before the end zone, so it didn't count. It was a touchback, and DeMarcado did the same exact thing last week. It's just ridiculous, and Arizona ended up losing the game where they easily could have probably won by a couple touchdowns. So and now Murray is doubtful here, so Jacoby Brissett starts. So I don't know how much Arizona I really want to play unless I'm mass multi entering 150, like maybe put it together. But Brissett's not bad. Like he had some kind of revenge game. He's played for the Colts and Patriots and some other teams, and he's been a serviceable backup. So he's not Kyler, but he's not like Chad Pennington. So I think we'll be okay there. Carter, I think definitely will be the running back that gets most of the carries. I think Dee Metcalf will still be there, but it's in the doghouse, so it'll take a while for him to get out and get trusted again. So Carter, I think you're looking at like a dozen to 15 DK points there. Harrison, I don't know if you can get higher than around 10 with Brissett. We'll have to see how that goes. But I think McBride's safe. I think that's like you can 15 to 18 DK points at 5.5 if you're paying up. I'd rather play for Warren on the other side because he's getting some rushing touchdowns and he's about $600 cheaper. But yeah, a lot to like on the Indianapolis side. Like Daniel Jones, if you can get up to him as quarterback, I think has a chance to be under 10% owned to get 20 DK points. Jonathan Taylor, 25 DK points, I think. But I think he'll have like 15-20% ownership there. And the reason being when I get to McCaffrey, I'll tell you that and Pittman's out there. Pierce is back, so that kind of like waters down the rest of the wide receivers here. But Jones, Taylor, Pittman, Warren, I think you can play like two out of or 3 out of 4 of them, and you should be pretty good. I really like the Colts defense here, especially like Arizona being depleted and being boneheaded, and not having their starting quarterback. I think that's definitely you can go there. I know they're not up on the board, but just make note that I think they are a pretty strong play if you can get to them. Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Cleveland traded away Joe Flacco. Dylan Gabriel is the starter, so I guess that means Shakur Sanders is the number 2 now. Finally, Judkins has been solid. Pittsburgh has been decent defensively, so I really the Cleveland only has a 16 total, so I don't know if I really want anything on this team. Judkins, I'm okay with. Like Njoku and Fanning is still a mud puddle here. I don't know if either one of them get to 10. I think they could either both of them easily get to like 7 or 9 points, and they're cheap though, so they're only priced $100 apart. So I think they're darts. You're fine there. Bond, if you want to take a shot at 3.7 as wide receiver punt, maybe able to get you 7 or 8 points there. Not too bad. Judy, I think it could maybe get to 10 or 12 at 4 or 5. But on the Pittsburgh side, Aaron Rodgers, if you want to take a shot at the ageless wonder, I mean, I I don't think it's a fear of missing out thing. 15 to 18 DK points, I think it's definitely probably only 1% ownership because the Cleveland defense has been strong, and but they've been a pass funnel. So Warren and Gainwell, I don't really trust here. Um, Especially because Gainwell's starting to come on, and like now Warren, like he lost Najee Harris, but now Gainwell's kind of picked up where Najee Harris was, and they're kind of splitting time here. It's more of like a 65-35 to favor Warren, but Gainwell's definitely gaining there. But again, with the Cleveland run defense, I don't think I really want to play either one of them here. Metcalf, I'm really like, especially in GPPs here. I think it's a very solid play. I don't think you have to play him with Rodgers. I think you can play him as standalone. 15 DK points here, under 10% ownership at 5-5. Had a strong game last time out, and he's just one that can just make catches. And I think against Cleveland defense, you focus more on the run. If Rodgers has enough time to get the ball out there, if he gets it to Metcalf, it should be um, pretty strong. And tight end wise, it's like you got three of them that anybody could. Defense wise, Cleveland, I think, is in play. It has a punt, and Pittsburgh, I think if you want to pay up against this rookie quarterback and an offense that has sometimes struggled with only a 16 point total at home, I think that definitely helps out. So next game we have the Chargers and the Dolphins. This should be a decent one. Also, Herbert lost his main running back, so between Vidal and Haskins, you probably, I mean, they're both 5K because it's a coin flip. Which one of them gets like the 8 or 9 DK points? I don't expect anything. And Miami's actually kind of been really good against the pass, so they it could be a run funnel defense. So I don't know. One of them maybe the golden ticket here, but I don't know. Johnson's pretty much doubtful, so that helps McConkey and Allen and Gadsden for receptions. But again, Miami's defense has been pretty good against the pass, so we'll have to see what happens there. So I think Herbert's definitely in play. He'll probably go over 20 DK points, but again, if Johnson's out, then probably McConkey and Allen like $100 a piece at 5.7 and 5.6. You expect about 15 DK points as he spreads it around there, and Gatson probably like 8 to 10 at 2.6. I definitely like Gatson better if Q Johnson's out. If Q Johnson's in there, then I think maybe 12 to 13 points for all of them. It's just so hard to tell how the running backs. I think I'd rather watch the Chargers to see how the offense flows, losing their main two running backs in 2 weeks in a row, and see like what happens, especially if Q Johnson is out too. On the Dolphins side, Tua is going to be a fade for me. Like, can he get 15 points? Yeah, but I don't think he's got the upside to get 20, especially against a Charger defense that hasn't been terrible. They've been pretty solid. Uh, it's not a Kanye. It's Achin. He's always in play for maybe about 20 DK points at 7.8's not bad. Um, but I think if anybody on this team, I'm looking at Waddle for probably potentially up to 20 DK points at 6.1, and then Waller for like 10 DK points at 4K, which is kind of in mid range for tight ends. So that's where I want to go. Charger defense, I think is fine, but the Dolphins defense is quite intriguing because if they're good at taking out the pass and Q Johnson, one of the weapons, is not there, and they have to rely on these running backs who really haven't played that much, then it could be disastrous. Plus, it's at Miami, it's at home. Um, it's not going to be super blazing hot. It's only 82 degrees with 69% humidity. So, I mean, sometimes Miami has the advantage just because the way the stadium's built, the sun always shines on the opponents, and Miami usually wears the whites for home, so the opponents wear the dark. So it's hotter with the heat being absorbed by the dark color. But I also don't think that's going to be a huge factor in this game. Next up is the game we really need to look at the weather for. It could be a really sloppy mess, the Rams and Ravens, and it should be a blowout. I'm pretty sad my Ravens have completely like imploded here with Lamar out with a hamstring. Cooper Rush going to start again. Um, and it just seemed lost this year. Their whole defense is completely devastated. I know they traded away somebody this week, but I mean, right now they're sitting in, I think, third position for the number one draft pick, and they don't really need a quarterback, obviously, for that. And I don't think Arch Manning is going to be the number one pick anymore. But I don't think that they're going to completely mail in the season. I think there's still a shot for them to be like 500 and make the playoffs. But if they continue to lose and can't take any traction, I think that um, the Ravens just might cast off the season. So it'll be interesting to see if they hold on to Derrick Henry or try to trade him to a contender, if he's going to be patient and just kind of maybe he will end up with an injury also, and then he'll be like Keaton Mitchell or something. Just like kind of running out the rest of the season just to kind of rest these players for the run next year. Play younger players, kick the tires, see what happens. But again, it's only week 6, too early to speculate on that. So starting with the Rams side, like in this with the 18 mile per hour winds and gusts up to 40. I really not like Stafford and Nakua here. I think Nakua is a great GPP play. Tyrone Williams might make the most sense here for like 20 DK points, but he's probably gonna have like 20% ownership, or 25% ownership if the game script turns into that. Rams defense obviously is going to be one that should be a great play against the Ravens here. Also, on the Ravens side, maybe I'd take Derrick Henry at only 6'2", who's been like super cheap here on DK. I don't always on FanDuel, but if he's relatively cheap, I think he makes a good GPP there. Also, I really don't like anybody else. I'm definitely not taking the Ravens defense. So I think it's just Kyrie Nakua, maybe in a GPP and Henry, but just going to kind of toss this game out and move on. Next game I really like, pretty close total, 4.5 points. It's actually 3.5 points. It's at 46.5 total. Patriots and Saints. May's been amazing, having a great season. Stevenson, besides the fumbles, has come on and been pretty strong, but you have Travion Henderson there also chomping at the bit. They get carries, so 10 to 12 DK points for either one of these. And I think your ownership's like usually less than 5% because nobody knows who's going to have it's like a scratch off lottery ticket, going to have the good day. But Stephon Diggs has definitely stepped up, and I think he could have almost 25% ownership here at 5.8 and be looking at like somewhere close to like 17, maybe 20 DK points on a really good day. It started to look healthy. He came back really fast from his injury, but is doing well out there. Some chemistry with May and some leadership on the team. He doesn't look like the diva he was in the past. So Booty's still out there too. I mean, at 3.8, you're looking at what 6 to 8 DK points potentially. Hollins, Douglas, I don't know, but Henry, I really like also. He's usually a pretty good lock for 10 DK points, and I think with some of the other tight ends will be more popular, even with Bauer out for the Raiders. So I don't think he even gets up to 10% ownership. So there could be a nice little leverage play for you there. If you're paying down from like Waller or McBride or Waller's out. So Warren, McBride, or Ferguson, I think he's definitely uh, my favorite play in the medium range. On the Saints, Rattler maybe in a GPP, but New England's defense hasn't been bad. Kamara is questionable. If he doesn't play, I think Kendra Miller might become a chalk RB play at 47. He's starting to get a little bit more carries last week, so just keep your eye on that. I picked him up to stash him in season long just because I've read a lot of things about him, like maybe being the heir apparent there. So I'll have to watch that. Olave has been a decent possession receiver. I think it's going to be a great run back here. Um, if you like stack the Patriots or Shaheed, like both of them here. Shaheed, you're saving $500. Olave, I think you're looking like for like 15 points to 20 point upside. Shaheed's probably more like 10 to 15 point upside. And Juwan Johnson is back, and he's one that can get you 8 to 10 DK points at under 10% ownership at only 3.3. Tennessee Titans and the Raiders here. Pretty low total at 41.5. Cam Ward, I don't trust. Pollard, I think, is a decent running back that we can look at, but under 5% ownership, and I don't even know if he gets like the 15. Ridley, not super excited. Maybe 10 to 12 DK points. Yayo Manor. And last week I had like a stack of like the Titans, and if I had the wrong wide receiver, if I went with Alec Manor here, that would have been the play. But here, like looking at like maybe 6 to 8 DK points at 1% ownership. Their tight end, um, one of them might get you five, so not a ton to really love here. Raider side, I like the defense. Geno Smith not touching, but Gentry, because Tennessee used to be really good against the run, and now they've been better against the pass and really bleeding against the running back. I just think Gentry runs all over him, so it's a great pairing to play the Raiders defense and Gentry there. And if you want to take a wide receiver, Myers or Tucker, but Mayer, the tight end, actually, when Bauer got hurt in week one, was actually catching a lot of balls and targeted quite often. So I think he's got 8 to 10 DK point upside here at 3.1K, and potentially you might get up to 15. So I think there's a really good mid-range tight end for you. San Francisco and Tampa Bay. San Francisco continues to be completely banged up, but the only difference is, besides the Ravens, who are completely banged up, San Francisco still has been figuring out ways to win games, which has been astonishing. So Purdy's out. Mac Jones is questionable but probable. I don't even know where they would go if he couldn't play. McCaffrey, like everything points to, with all the wide receivers being banged up again. Purcell's out again. Jennings is questionable, so that's like Bourne had a just went off and went nuclear last week on for the Thursday night football. So at 5K, I'm thinking more like a dozen to 15 points here. If Jennings is out, maybe 10 to 12 points if Jennings is in. Tongues at tight end, probably could get about 10 points there. But the reason I'm not super high on McCaffrey and I really like Jonathan Taylor over him is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been a very stout run defense. Now, that's fine because if they shut him down, then McCaffrey just becomes like wide receiver like 3 or 4, and with like catching those balls, and the yardage and the PPR points could probably get there uh, um, for you, but he's going to need some touchdowns, and I don't know. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, solid, one of the best quarterbacks out there right now with the game on the line. Starts out slow, but puts up a ton of points in the second half. So maybe they don't even start watching to the second half if you don't want heartburn. Bucky's out again. Rashid White was very solid in the fill and roll. He was a reliable running back before Bucky came and he lost his role, but he's been stuck to it, and his hard work is paying off. And I think he could potentially get 20 DK points again. Ibuka has just been a monster for wide receiver, like right up there with Nakua and JSN, with Evans out and Godwin out. Like he's the future. So Shepard might step up and be able to get 10 points at 3-8. And then Cam Otton has had an expanded role also, but don't look for like 15 DK points from him. Like 8 to 10 is where I think he lands at 3-4. Tampa Bay defense is definitely one that I'd consider against San Francisco here just because of all the injuries and everything. But San Francisco has a healthy total at 22, and this game should be close. So I think that's it's definitely my fourth favorite one where you can stack like CMC or Bourne if you want to save some money in Baker and Buka, and then just build the rest of your line. Okay, final game of the early window, Cincinnati and Green Bay. Joe Flacco was traded to the Bengals. He should be starting here. He already beat the Packers, everybody say, but it was actually Cleveland defense that beat and special teams that beat Green Bay. It wasn't necessarily Flacco. He managed the game. But we'll see how the rapport works here with this team and if he's had time to catch on. I mean, he knows them from playing in the division with Baltimore and with Cleveland, but we'll have to see how things work out here. So Flacco is a punt. Okay, that's fine. Chase Brown, it's okay. I think potentially at running back, I'm expecting about 15 DK points. I'm not expecting like 20 or 25. Jamar Chase is questionable, and we'll have to see if he can play. If he doesn't, then Higgins definitely um, would be probably a really solid play at 5-7. Gesicki, the tight end, I'd really like at that point also. He'd go from maybe 5 DK points to potentially 10, 15 DK points. And I think yeah, Sovich at 3.5 could probably maybe get close to 10 DK points of wide receiver as a point of Chase is out. Bengals defense, definitely avoiding them. Green Bay side of the ball, Love, I like. I just don't love him. Could he get up to about 20 DK points? Yes. He does live a little bit rushing upside, so I think he's in play for a quarterback. I just like in that price range, I just like May and General Jones just so much better. Josh Jacobs, I think, is definitely um in play here. Although the Bengals have been okay against the run. They've been more of a pass funnel and just giving up a ton of yards there. So, but this, again, here's the whole scratch off lottery ticket thing. You have Dubes out there. You have Golden, who, like, and then Wicks. Like, any one of them could get 8 to 12 DK points, just depending on who's the hot hand, how they spread the ball out. And then Tucker Kraft is still in the mix, also, who is a solid tight end at 4.7. You got to pay up for him, and I think he might have like close to 15% ownership, but we're really looking at probably a dozen points from him. I so would rather take like Warren, McBride, Ferguson, um, so many other choices there. So that's a breakdown of each game. So let's look at some lines and get you on your way for your day. So my core, I think, is a solid. I like really like this. So give me May, Dak, or Baker, whichever quarterback you. I think I'll build a cash line of all three of these, just because I like each one of these quarterbacks here. Dowdle and White are definitely the running backs that I'm looking for. Like I did say, if who was it that if they miss the game would probably be a okay. So if Kamara misses and Kendra Miller is there and you need a little bit more salary, then I'm okay like swapping out Dowdle or White for Kendra Miller. That would definitely be a good play. So cash correlate with your QB. So if you're taking May, then take probably Diggs. Booty if you need to save a little bit of cash. If you're taking Dak, then you'd probably want to look at taking Pickens. And if you're taking Baker, then definitely go with Mbuka, Waddle, and then depending on how who you picked for your quarterback, you might want to put a run back wide receiver there. Like I said, Olave works for the Patriots. If you're running back the Dallas game, then McMillan or Leggett are definitely in play there. And if you're running back from the Tampa Bay game, then you have some cheap wide receivers and like Jennings or Bourne to put in there. Warren, if you can get up to him, if not, drop down to Henry, especially if you're playing May, the correlation works there. And that should give you enough money to get CNC or Taylor or Gentry or whatever stud running back you want and pick a decent, affordable defense. For GPP, give me Young. Give me Henry at that price. If you don't like it, I understand, like swap on with somebody else, but J. Will Dallas there. McMillan to pair with Young. Metcalf against a run or pass funnel defense. I think Cleveland will shut down the run, but Metcalf will have some opportunities. And then I'm punting tight end to give me long. So then you can get up to whoever you want to in the flex position and fill in with the wide receiver. You can go balanced, or you can go up with like CMC or Taylor, one of the top studs in that flex position, and then figure out where you want to land on wide receiver and see what's left and buy your defense. So that's what I got for you. If you have any questions, you put them in the chat below. Hit me 31 on Twitter, X, whatever we call it nowadays. If you want more information outside DFS, you can get to our Discord for free. But the rooms for our premium, and it's only like $6 a day to play all DFS sports. So we'll have Major League Baseball playoff showdown. We'll have hockey is free this year for now. We don't have a coach, but McKinley, and it's actually turned into a pretty cool community where people can just go in and share the ideas. You can't share any lines; that's against DK guidelines. But you can share thoughts on players like stacks, teams, goalies, things like that, and everybody's been helping each other, and it's been a pretty cool start to the season. Charlie's around with for soccer, got NASCAR, so many different things. Just $6 a day. Description of video. Go to our website, and there's the videos help us back, like, subscribe, and share with friends. So thanks for watching. Good luck in your contest, and I'll see you next week.